Alright, in this video we are going to make an emotional Afrobeat that will sound like this. With emotional Afrobeat, choosing a tempo that ranges from 90 to the 100 mark brings out a relaxed vibe, giving the melody space to breathe and connect with the listener. We'll be using the No Pure from Contact, as the piano is always an emotional anchor when it comes to Afrobeat. For the key, we'll be doing the A major. Let's go ahead and make some chord progression. So A is the root note, right? To create a melodic and emotional chord progression, so think in terms of tension and release. The further you move away from the tonic chord, the more tension you add to it. So this is the sixth degree to the 1. You hear that tension. It's like you are breathing. You breathe in and out. Tension will be like breathing in, and then the release will be like breathing out. So we can breathe in again and settle it on the home chord by breathing out. So we have the 6-4-5-1 progression. We make basic major and minor triads by skipping each scale note twice. Duplicate the bass note for depth. And a little trick to do here is to revoice the chords. Just interchange the position of the note. What I like to do here is to open up the chord by raising the third, that's the middle note. I just bring them all up an octave. Now you can hear how open the chord sounded. Now you can add passing note to give it a smooth transition from one chord to the other. We just continue in similar fashion to glue the melody together. Since the progression is beginning on the 4th bar, we repeat the same melody as the first. Let me show you. Now let's listen from the top. From here, all we can do is freestyle and chop the note further for it to be our top line melody. So looking at the pattern, I repeated the F sharp note. That's the root note of the F minor chord. That's why I'm just adding the D note to repeat the root note of the D major chord. It's just similar pattern. And with the E major chord, let's make it a dominant 7th to have a strong resolution when it goes back to the tonic first. You know, you get this authentic cadence from the 5 to the 1. I don't really like how the tonic chord sounds at the end, so I'll just revoice it again. From here, all you do is humanize it. So we can basically change the snap to none. Shift this arrow a little bit to give the chords headroom so that it doesn't play exactly on the grid, as humans can really play exactly on grid on metronome. We can do Alt+S to strum it a little bit, and then we can go in manually to adjust the velocities. And finally, we can live with this. Let me play it back one more time so that we have a listen. So with the piano melody sounding nice and clean, we can add a top line melody with guitar from Omah. We'll be using the baritone guitar A preset. With this melody, I'll just be highlighting some of the chord notes to create some form of contrast. From here, we can begin to add our drums. We do Ctrl+B to paste it over. and then the kick comes in. I'll just space it out. It just makes the whole vibe sounds more emotional. We just repeat the same pattern on the next half and then add variation at the end. And to make the drum groove a lot more fuller, we can add percussions. Some hi-hats. And last but not the least, open hats to finish up the pattern. Now that we have a foundation of the drums, we can just add a percussion loop to make it sound a lot more fuller. This sounds way too bright, so I'll pitch it down an octave and then add some shakers for the high frequencies. Now that we have a cool foundation of the melody and drums together, we can make the drums swing for it not to sound robotic. In addition, we'll add a bass to make the vibe groove a lot more better. With that said, we'll be using this preset from Trillion, a bass guitar. All we do is copy the root note of the progression, paste it on our bass guitar, boom. And from here we just have to chop it up to make a nice bass groove. At the end of the bar, I always like to think in terms of octave. So we go up an octave from the D. Repeat same pattern and then add some variation. So this will be our bass groove. This is basically the foundation of the beat. There are still some little details to add to it, like vocal phrasing, layering instrument, arrangement, mixing and all that. I'll do that quickly on the background and then break each and every steps to you along the way. Alright, here's our song arrangement. Let's talk about layering the melody. How I like to layer chords is to revoice it on another instrument to give it rich harmonics like I have done here. As you can see, I took out the counter melody to make only the block chords play, as you can use this in both the verse or the intro, depending on the style you are going in for. And for effects, we have RC20, the Valhalla vintage verb, EQ to cut the low frequencies, and finally the magic plugin to bring out the tone is RVox. It's basically hard compression, and then I added this guitar phrasing from Cymatics, a part from Omnisphere with this preset. And on the master bass, a saturator to color the peaking ends crossing the 0 dB mark. It just wraps around the clipping sound. Last but not the least, in the effect chain is a limiter to increase the overall loudness of the track. Like always, thanks for watching and see you in the next one. I'll just leave the beat to play to sign out.